Frank Scuba Diving Career Advice by Pacificklaus. Okay, now welcome back. Episode 3 to my frank advice for your dive pro career. So this is, I should really point that out every time, this is not a new direction of the channel. There will be a lot of fish and crabs from the Philippines out of water in the next weeks and particularly the next year. But viewer, okay, thanks again China, suggested that I make these videos, and I thought, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So I have 10 years of experience as a scuba instructor in Australia and in the Philippines, and I'm not selling you anything, right? So I can actually share my experiences and my insights. And so what are these insights? We've started, if you want to go back, with should you even go into diving as a dive pro at all? Maybe not. Should you do your dive master? Well, you know, it's sometimes it can be a career on its own, but if you want to get into a proper scuba diving career, you basically have to be an instructor. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So there are a few things which were actually not quite clear to me when I started. How do you become an instructor? Well, you take one of these instructor development courses, or you take instructor training, which typically takes 2 weeks and a little bit. And then what do you learn there? And this is really what surprised me. You don't actually learn much diving. You're expected to know diving, and particularly and this is something that was really new to me, you are already expected to know quite a bit of teaching from your dive master course. So there was quite a long time span between my dive master course and my instructor course, and I really had to get back into that. And so you're supposed to already know how to demonstrate skills. What you learn in the instructor course is how to follow the exact rules of your dive agency, and how to follow the exact outline of these courses, and how to safely administer that teaching to your students. There's very little actual diving you learn. Now, I should say, so I mentioned that before. I learned to dive in 1987 in Italy with my dad when I was 14 years old. And then by the time I took my instructor training, and at that point I was 40. By that time I was a hypoxic trimix tech diver, and I had dived in a lot of places, including alpine lakes, including the kelp forests of Southern California, coral reefs, everything. And that's, I think, a good way of doing it. Maybe it's not necessary to leave 10 years between starting to dive and your instructor training, but gain a lot of experience. There is this thing which is called Zero to Hero, and you see that in some of these locations where there's a lot of dive training going on. That means basically there is folks who, maybe they have a gap year, they travel, they take open water, the beginner scuba diving course, and then they go, wow, this is really cool. This is what I want to do. And then they just keep taking courses. Typically it's the advanced, the rescue, the dive master, and the instructor course in one. So then in something like 2 months, by doing only about 100 dives, which is crazy to me, there are people who become instructors. I have seen people who have gone through this training who ended up being good instructors, but I think generally it is something that you want to avoid. Why is this still happening? It's good business for the dive shops which offer that. And so this is generally, when you're talking about instructor training, it's good business. So whether you sell a big 2.5-week course to somebody, or like a 3-day beginner course, it financially makes a difference for the big dive shops which offer these courses. So you should be aware of that, right? There is, they're trying to sell you you're living the dream, and it's cool to be a diving instructor, but there are caveats, and the main caveat to me is that the job market for diving instructors is a buyer's market. So there are more diving instructors around than there are really needed. Why is that? Well, I mean, it's such a cool thing, right? A lot of people want to do it. Well, you know, I'm going to live on the beach and I'm going to teach people how to dive, and in the evening I'm going to, you know, watch the sunset with a beer. Yes, that can happen. But then there's overselling of this. I think a lot of the dive shops which are selling instructor training are probably not quite as honest as they should be in telling people what their chances of getting a job are. So because it's, you know, it has such a rightfully cool image, because it's really good business to sell these instructor training courses, there are a lot of instructors around. Now, many of these instructors are young, and you know, they're traveling the world and they're doing this during a gap year, and that's cool. And it might work out for them, and probably for you know, many courses they can provide good training. So there is a very good article about, you know, the whole economic structure of the scuba training world by Andy Davis, which I'm linking. And so it's probably not ideal in terms of having a population of instructors who have a lot of experience as divers and as diving instructors, when people just, you know, do this for a short while and then leave. But you just have to be aware that if you do your instructor training and then you might you wanna then work in scuba diving, you're probably competing with a lot of people, and you're competing with a lot of people who don't necessarily see this as a long-term career, but, you know, something they do for a year before they go back to doing IT or something like that. And so that means not always, but often you're expendable to the dive shops. So, you know, a lot of dive shops don't offer really great salaries. And there is a race to the bottom in terms of, you know, how cheap diving training can be. This is also a factor of, you know, there being so many instructors. And sometimes, I mean, in a few cases this has happened to me, but I've seen this with colleagues. The dive shop owners don't have to be nice to their instructors, to their staff, because it's very easy to get a new instructor. So you know, that it's not all gloom, but there are so many instructors around that essentially, if you have a good dive shop, you can be very choosy and take a great instructor. Or if you have like a, you know, mech dive shop, you can essentially just take the cheapest instructor willing to work for the cheapest salary you want to have. So be aware of this buyer's market in diving instruction. That's really important. That's probably one of the things I wish somebody had told me when I started to teach scuba. Now, what can you do to still have good success as an instructor? So there are these extras which you should have or can have in order to make your career as an instructor better. So first of all, if you have extra skills, and you know, that would be something like tech diving, photography, marine biology, extra diving skills, extra courses you can teach, that will always help you. Social media, I don't think, is a great skill. Everybody knows how to post a picture of a fish on Instagram. And then the other thing is languages really help a lot. And eventually you might want to start your own dive shop. So this is what we're gonna talk about the next time. So, you know, you need to be an expert at something. You just need to be above, you know, your open water scuba instructor. Other than that, it's gonna be a difficult path in your diving career. So this is my frank advice. Probably one thing I should point out, because of this buyer's market, I found that it's often rather easy to find a job in scuba diving, but it's not that easy to find a nice job. So you really have to ask around. If you're considering starting to work for a dive shop, find the people who work there. Look at what is their staff turnover. Do they have a new boat captain or a new instructor? Every 3 months there is, in one of the dive career groups on Facebook, there for a while there was this job ad from this dive shop in Thailand who were essentially offering a terrible job, mostly really only paying the instructor commission for courses taught, no base salary. And that job ad, unsurprisingly, was up every 3 months, because it probably meant they found somebody and they got so sick of the place that they left after 3 months and they were looking for somebody new. So all of these red flags, staff turnover, and people who had worked there before not being particularly happy about their place, you really want to consider in a diving career much more than in other careers, right? So if you work in IT, you probably want to talk to the people who worked at that company before. But this is more urgent in diving. So I hope that helps you. This is how you become an instructor. Be aware that instructor employment is a buyer's market. That's the main thing here. Next time we will talk about a big step you might want to take, which is setting up your own dive shop.